Hey guys, welcome back to the Human Machine, where we bring curated Web3 content and information. So today we have an interview with Tim Kravchunovsky from Chirp. He's the founder and CEO, and guess what? We've been talking a lot about Web3 projects, how they're disrupting the digital space, but this time it's a killer project that's also disrupting the physical IoT and cellular space, and we're going to dive into that in today's interview. Tim, how are you doing?
Hey, pretty good, man. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm Tim, founder of Chirp. Excited to share what we're building.
Absolutely, and we're going to have a lot to uncover. So first off, right, that when it comes to Chirp and what you guys are doing, it's related to DePIN, or like decentralized physical infrastructure networks, and that we need to kind of start with this, right? So if you can kind of start, how is DePIN impacting today's existing internet network connectivity that we take for granted? And I guess why should the average consumer, care?
So DePIN is really an ingenious innovation. If you think about it, this model of distributing physical. So what is DePIN? It's decentralized physical infrastructure. If you think about it, it has been around for a really long time, just in a slightly different format. Previously, telecommunication companies, what they used to do is they would rent out land from a farmer, and on that land they would put a cell tower, and they would place all of the antennas in there. So a farmer would get his minuscule rent for 10 by 10 a piece of land. I don't know, a couple of $100 a year, and telecommunications company would reap all of the rewards. So essentially, they would install that cell tower on that piece of land, and they would lease spaces on that cell tower to multiple companies. So it's essentially a telecommunications company is getting all of the rewards and all of the rent from other telecoms, and farmers just kind of getting like a small chunk. So with DePIN, we're really reintroducing this model in a different way, where each one of us can participate. So obviously, no longer we have to go around. No longer we have to make lease agreements. There's no contracts, anything like that. Anyone can participate, and anyone can install an antenna. So, for example, in Chirp, we have our Blackbirds. And those Blackbirds, so this is an antenna. It's a 30 by 30 antenna. And essentially, you just install it on your roof if you live in a single family home, or on your balcony if you live in an apartment building. So no lease agreements, and you get direct rewards from our project. So really old model, but now anybody can take part in this telecom industry. And telecom industry is huge. I mean, it's billions and billions of dollars every year. And by hosting the physical infrastructure, you're kind of participating in what was previously not accessible to most of us. So this is right. This is what DePIN and how it impacts the entire industry and the stakeholders primarily.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think within DePIN, we've all heard of IoT, right? Internet of Things. But it doesn't seem like it's quite gone so off, because it's not like you see it in every single home you go to. But, the infrastructure is out there. So maybe if you can share about, Chirp's long-term vision and how is it going to affect this whole IoT space?
Essentially, what is happening on the market right now, each manufacturer, they create a device. So for example, this is a LoRa device. You buy a device from the manufacturer, you buy a hub that transmits the information from this device to the internet, and you use their own proprietary app to monitor this device. But if the manufacturer doesn't have another device that you need, and most likely you need more than one device of different types, you go to another manufacturer, and then you find out that they have their own app. They use their own hub to transmit. So, for example, this is a Wi-Fi device, and it works essentially the same way. And each manufacturer has an app. Each manufacturer has a hub, and it's very difficult to implement a residential IoT solution. It's difficult commercially as well. But most of the companies, they hire IT departments, and those IT departments uh, help implement something that is supposed to make their life easier. And we think that this system is really broken. But as far as the commercial industry, um, you can't say that IoT has not taken off. It's literally everywhere. And if you think about it, like every single truck on the road, every single commercial vehicle on the road has IoT. Most of them use SIM cards, and this is yet another protocol. And the SIM cards are great if you have coverage and if you have an external power source, which you do in a truck or a car. You have a car battery, and you're not really worried about the battery life of that device because there's a generator always charging your car battery, and your device just keeps running. But the second you leave the cellular network, this is where you require a different type of protocol. So really all types of protocols are being used. And IoT is like literally everywhere. So
Yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think that kind of echoes the fact that, you know, it is everywhere, but most people don't see it. But that's just how much profound impact, right, you guys can make because it's there but not there,
exactly,
right?
it's
Very
literally
important.
underneath the hood. It's literally
Yeah,
underneath the hood. So
yeah, right. So I was actually, looking into this because it's quite a fascinating, and apparently it's saying that by 2032, it's going to be a $1.56 trillion industry. This whole IoT market alone. That's very comparable to the crypto market size, right? So it's going to be quite big. Let's talk about your, flagship network, the Blackbird IoT. How do you think it's going to impact, this growth towards that $1.56 trillion industry?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is estimated that in the next couple of years, every single person on this planet will have at least 10 IoT devices, 10 different IoT devices that will connect. And what we're doing at Chirp, what we're solving is we're not betting on one single protocol, because like I said, there's no universal protocol and all of them are being used. So essentially, think of Chirp as an aggregator of all of the protocols. And essentially, if there's another DePIN project that is focusing on only one telecommunications protocol, we can partner with them and offer that telecommunications protocol to our clients. So our goal is to make wireless, not just IoT, entire wireless, easy and accessible to the entire world. Through a visualization platform, you can see the actual temperature. It's visualized for the user,
Hmm.
and after you see that information, you can also control the devices with different um, AI logic, for example.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Just see the amount of like impact it can make. So how about this? Tell us an example of how Blackbird is going to power IoTs in residential homes. What does it look like for the average person?
A use case that anybody could understand is Airbnb. So a lot of people understand, or a lot of people rent out properties. I have a friend who lives in DC, and he has a rental property on the beach in South Carolina. And so he's renting out a property on Airbnb. When people come and they vacation, they don't care about your electricity. They don't care about the water. It's not theirs, So they turn on the water and they let it run. They
Hmm.
turn on lights and they go to the beach and they don't turn off the lights, so on and so forth. And with IoT and with automation, you can really uh, change that. in a way that you can remotely control your remote properties. So, for example, if your clients leave the property and they leave the water on, so obviously my friend cannot drive to South Carolina for 7 hours just to turn the water off.
Mm-hmm.
He can turn it off remotely through a Chirp a platform. And when our network grows and Blackbirds expand their reach and your neighbors start installing the Blackbirds, then network becomes stronger and more resilient. So even if you have a power outage in your house, you can still manage those devices. So, for example, I have a leak valve. This is the valve that gets installed on a water pipe, and you can literally send a command to it remotely to turn off the water. And it's
Yeah.
battery operated, and it connects remotely to our global network, just like your cell phone does.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, your cell phone, it doesn't work through Wi-Fi, it works through the signal from the outside. And this is how our IoT network works as well. So all of the devices that you install in your house, if you don't have coverage, you can install a gateway and it will provide coverage for your house. So it's not a limitation. And it will provide coverage also to your neighbors because it's a long range network. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but but once your neighbors start installing the Blackbirds as well, uh, network really becomes resilient. And if somebody wants to break into your house, they cut the electricity wires on purpose. They cut the internet
Mm-hmm.
wires on purpose. No, you lose the internet. With traditional IoT, you cannot control those devices, but you will be able to through the Chirp network. So
Okay, so you're saying that let's say I buy, that water plug, right? It's connected to my home Wi-Fi, and then my electricity goes down, Wi-Fi goes down. I'm at the beach and I cannot control it. As long as there are other chirp, antennas nearby and it's covering, I can leverage my neighbor's antenna.
yeah, small correction. It's not connected to your Wi-Fi. It's connected to our global network. So the gateway could be installed in your house. But yeah, the Blackbirds, they communicate with each other and they provide long range signal. So essentially, if you install a Blackbird on your house, you're providing signal not only to yourself, but you're possibly providing signal to the entire city. um, it depends on the installation and how you install it. But your neighborhood, most definitely. And your neighbors, they really don't need a gateway. They can just install this plug and it will work from the external signal. But it's better
Mm-hmm.
to always have redundancy and have multiple Blackbirds in the area in case if one
Yeah.
fails, then it communicates with the
Mm-hmm.
other Blackbird.
Yeah, it's almost like a blockchain network. The idea of like, the more nodes you have, the more resilient and powerful, right? It is to
Exactly,
attacks.
exactly. Yep.
Okay. And especially for, let's say, just normal residential people, they don't want to worry about all the technicals. They just want to install it. So earlier, you actually showed us the device, right? Let's say, I install one in my home on my roof. How do I start earning? Right?
So it's actually that simple. You just install it and it's plug and play. So we're making IoT easy, and this is our goal. So this is the Blackbird, and as you can see, it's connected with an Ethernet cable in here on the bottom.
Yeah.
And this cable, it provides internet connection and power. So it's power over Ethernet,
Oh,
and
so
it's
all in
only
one,
one
just one
cable. So
cable.
you literally
Oh,
plug it into
nice.
your
Yeah.
modem. You
Okay.
literally plug it into your modem, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else, and you're ready to go. And it's also important for companies. It's essentially with Chirp, they don't need to hire an IT department if they want to automate something. It's
Mm.
literally plug and play. You turn on the device, you hang it, and the Blackbird is providing coverage. You're ready to go, and it's earning you Chirp tokens for providing that coverage. It's really that easy, and you can start adding the devices, and your neighbors can start adding the devices already. So that's
And
how it
is
works.
there like an end or limit to the rewards, or just perpetual as long as I'm powering the network?
So we have a certain amount of tokens that get distributed between the Blackbirds, and this is also a very interesting aspect. So we're fixing a lot of the problems other DePIN projects made in the past. We're not the first DePIN project in the industry. So these Blackbirds, we control the installation. So by control, I don't mean that uh, it's centralized in any way. But we have certain rules that keepers. So keepers are the people that buy the Blackbirds and install them on their house. So
Okay.
you have to abide by those rules in order to convert your gateway into a miner. So you start earning tokens. So it only needs to be installed on the outside. So that's essentially the only requirement. But when the area gets overly saturated, because these gateways, they provide long range signal, and if you install it on the outside, and if it's installed really high up, we have one antenna that is covering literally 100-kilometer radius.
Holy cow!
Uh, it is a lot of coverage, but it's sitting very, very high up. If you look on our Explorer, you can take a look on Barcelona. And in Barcelona, we have about 10 or 12 antennas. And essentially, the entire city is already covered because of
What?
our requirements where those Blackbirds need to be installed and how they are installed. And this is a way we protect our keepers' rewards as well. Because you will not see on the Chirp network, you will not see a city with thousands of Blackbirds because the signal is no longer needed in there. So we have a seniority rule. If you install a gateway and then your neighbor decides to install a gateway right after you, your rewards are not going to be impacted. So we have a seniority rule. And once the entire city is already covered with signal and Chirp does not need signal in there anymore, literally a smart contract will analyze that area and it will drop the rewards to zero for all future installations. And it will be protecting our existing keepers. So you will not see tens of thousands of gateways in one particular geographical area. You will still be able to buy a gateway. You will still be able to install a gateway. You will just have to look for other locations. And this is a beauty of this a DePIN structure, because you don't have to install it just in your house. You can install it in your parents' house. You can install it in your friend's house. I was actually driving by Frankfurt a couple of weeks ago, and I was passing by this hill, and on top of the hill is a TV tower. And I was like, let me stop by and I will see if maybe it will be like a good area to install an antenna in there, because it will essentially cover the entire Frankfurt with signal. And when I got on top of that mountain, I see that cell tower or TV tower with all of the antennas from the telecom industry. But right next to it is a small restaurant. And that restaurant has a couple of antennas there as well. So I come up to the owner and I say, "Hey, can we install an antenna on your business as well? Can we rent it out?" He wanted only $100 for the entire year to install it, to lease out a space. So you can make arrangements as well to install those antennas in different places. It doesn't. You're not limited only to your property, only to your house, or only to your apartment. So
Understood. Yeah, that's a smart way to kind of naturally cover more areas, right? As more people join the Chirp network.
it's flexible. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, just the amount of coverage it can provide is, as you said, right? It's profound. Let's go to the next topic, and this one's going to be about the Cardinal network. So, if you can maybe first, talk about what is the Cardinal network? How is it different from the Blackbird IoT? And yeah, what problems is it solving?
So Chirp has been around for 2 years already. So we have been building really in stealth mode, and we have been building the product. We decided to start building our network from the IoT, but we're a wireless aggregator. And our next step, so essentially IoT is already working. Those gateways are being distributed throughout the world. They're not for sale right now because we sent out the test batch of our Blackbirds, and we're testing them right now. But if anybody is interested to buy a Blackbird, you can go to our website, chirptoken.io, and you can join the wait list. So once we test everything out, we will open a public sale for the rest of the Blackbirds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the IoT network, and it's fully functional, and it's already working, and we have a couple of potential clients that we're already working with. And the next step will be the Cardinal network. So the Cardinal network, it's a lot easier to explain than that IoT. It's a mobile network. Every single one of us has a cell phone. And
Yeah.
essentially, you can connect to the Cardinal network with your cell phone. Um, and what we're doing is we're making it a lot different from other projects. So most of the projects they work on CBRS spectrum. So CBRS is a open spectrum, and it's license free, but it's only available in the US. So
Okay.
essentially, if you're working on CBRS, you are limiting yourself geographically only to the US market. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not doing that. And so it's essentially Cardinal antenna is a community owned antenna. It's professional telecommunications equipment, and this is where we're doing it a lot differently as well. So it can be mounted on a cell tower, and multiple keepers can participate in running that antenna. And those antennas will be mounted in the areas of fiber optic breakouts. The problem that DePIN industry is facing right now is you might have a 5G antenna, but if you install that 5G antenna on your property, you're limiting it by your internet connection. And if you have a
Right.
DSL connection and a 5G antenna, technically you still have a 5G network that will
Mm-hmm.
never reach 5G speeds.
Yeah. Right.
So that's
YouTube will
that's
never
how it
load.
works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you install those antennas at fiber optic breakouts, then this is a truly scalable, and it's a true 5G network where you can achieve those incredible 5G speeds um, on your phone, and you can stream movies, you can make phone calls, so on and so forth. And because we're not building on CBRS spectrum, we're not essentially limited to only the US. So we can deploy uh, pretty much anywhere in the world.
Okay. So let's just say Chirp grows, right? Cardinal network covering, global. Can I, let's say, basically travel across the world and use the Chirp Cardinal network alone and still get like, 5G access?
So this is another benefit of us not using the CBRS, because we can roam with other telecom companies, and essentially to become a Chirp client, you do not need to wait for the entire infrastructure to grow. you can start using Chirp's network. If there's coverage in that particular area with Cardinals, you will connect to our Cardinal antennas. If you're traveling outside of that area and there's no Cardinal antennas, your phone will automatically switch through roaming agreements to other providers. But the real benefit is that it also works vice versa. And for example, if we have a client that is let's say Verizon client, and Verizon client travels to an area where Verizon does not have coverage, but there's a Chirp antenna installed in that area, they will be able to connect to the Chirp network through the roaming agreements as well. So,
I see.
and this is a huge benefit to our network.
So it's not like you're not competing with existing telecoms, but in fact, you can work together to fill each other, right? When you guys need that connection.
Exactly. So roaming is a common practice everywhere in the entire telecom industry, including IoT, by the way. So IoT network and the Blackbirds, we can also roam our network with other providers, and it's a common practice. So other providers can use our network, and their clients, when they connect to our network, they pay us for that particular connection. So
Got it. Okay. So, you showed off the devices. You talked about how Blackbird works, how Cardinal works. So, okay, I'm a community member. I'm interested. How can I join Chirp and power your ecosystem?
So as I said, we rolled out the Blackbirds only to test right now. So about 300 gateways have been rolled out. This is another advantage of DePIN. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Like for a traditional Web 2 telecom company, to deploy a network globally, it would literally take decades. We rolled out our network through our community, and our community members installed those antennas. You can go to our Chirp account on Twitter, and you can actually see all of the installations of the Blackbirds and like the areas that they cover. And is essentially just in a couple of months, we were able to deploy it in 25 countries. It's truly amazing. This is the power of Web3 community and the people.
Yeah, that's right.
So in Web2, it's absolutely not possible. So this is why this industry is so exciting. So those 300 Blackbirds we sold as a test batch. We're testing them right now. But if you want to participate in the Chirp ecosystem, you are right on time. So we're just making ourselves public. We have been building for 2 years. We're nearing a test net right now, and so sometime early next year, we will probably announce another public sale of the gateways. But right now you can go to chirptoken.io and you can join the wait list right on the main page. So
awesome.
That's the way to participate right now.
Yeah, right. And it's not so often in Web3 where you can get something physical, touch and feel from projects. So that's a cool thing about Chirp.
Exactly. So it's exciting, and what we're actually doing, we're sending together with the Blackbird, we're sending a device. So every single person that runs the network, we call them keepers. I think I mentioned that before. So if you become a keeper, you install the antenna on your house, but then you also get a device with your gateway. And you can join that device to the network so you can see how it works and so you understand how it works.
Okay.
This is just one of the problems that we're trying to fix. We see that it's a common misconception that like people don't understand how miners work. They just connect them. Most of the folks are there for rewards, and they don't understand what it's actually doing. And
Yeah.
if you have this antenna installed underneath your bed, laying underneath your bed, you're not providing coverage to the entire
Yeah.
area. You're providing coverage to yourself, and you're not doing any good. So
Yeah.
we're
What not
trying
to
to
do,
fix
right?
those small problems as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I do have a one last bonus question for you. In
Sure.
Web3, it's a funny culture, quite creative. We see a lot of like Pepes and frogs and Shiba Inu dogs, but when it comes to birds, right, we don't see those kind of mascots or branding often. So I want to ask, who came up with like the Chirp branding, and yeah, like why is it like bird related?
Uh, it all started. We actually rebranded our company. We started off as Mesh Plus, and then we kind of like looked at the entire um, um, style of our company and the corporate identity, and we were not happy with it. So it was. So a lot of our community members, they still like that name Mesh Plus, but then at
Hmm.
the same time, if you think about it, it's kind of like calling a mesh network mesh, so
Yeah.
we're not really happy with the name. And what actually Chirp means is those IoT devices, they transmit the signal called chirps, and the chirp spread
Oh,
spectrum.
oh,
And
that's what
this
it's
is
called.
where literally our name was born. So chirp, but also birds uh, emit chirps. So this is how the bird entire bird structure was formed.
Hmm.
So uh,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
nice. It's good because like what you guys are doing, the solutions. It's easy to remember, right? Not like technical, super long names that no one can remember. So yeah, Cardinal, Blackbird, Chirp.
yes, and we do have one more minor that we will be releasing fairly soon. Right now, it's a mystery minor. So, but it
Hmm.
also has a bird name. So,
Awesome.
and
Yeah, so
that
that means
that
if you
that
guys are
that
interested,
that should
right?
be released
Yeah.
a little bit later on, maybe this year or maybe next year. So we don't have an exact uh, due date, but we're
Yeah.
actively working on it, and it's going to be really exciting. So
Yep.
I think the entire crypto community is going to be really excited about that one.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, definitely if you're watching interested, pay attention. Join on Chirp's Twitter, website, links down below. So yeah, there you go.
Excellent.
All right, Tim. Yeah, very good discussion. I'm super excited for this one, and I'm gonna want to try that Chirp device myself as well. With our team, and
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll be
empower it
looking
and use it.
forward.
Yeah,
We'll be
yeah,
looking
yeah,
forward. Thank you, Hikaru. Thank you for having us on the show. It was a pleasure. So.
yeah. Likewise.